Scientists estimate these 6 devil fruits could end humanity, but one of them guarantees no survivors. The question isn't whether these powers would destroy our world, it's how completely they'd wipe us out. So let's count down from the devil fruits that might leave some survivors to the one that guarantees extinction. Number 6. Jiki Jiki no Mi, the magnet fruit. In One Piece, Kid used magnetism to control scrap metal and build giant mechanical arms. Looks like he was just playing with junkyard scrap, right? But magnetism controls everything in our modern world. Your phone, your car, your pacemaker, everything runs on electromagnetic systems. A real magnetic user would be like Magneto from X-Men, except our world is infinitely more dependent on technology than the 1960s comics book world he was designed for. And here's the terrifying part. They could manipulate the iron in your blood. Hemoglobin contains iron atoms that, under extreme magnetic fields, could be controlled directly. Your circulatory system becomes their puppet strings. Therefore, every human becomes a potential marionette, potentially giving the user the same ability as Doflamingo. But the real nightmare, our future, we're building robot armies, automated defense systems, AI-controlled drones. A magnetic user could hijack every single automated weapon we create. Imagine them taking control of an entire robot army and turning it against humanity. We'd literally be building their forces for them. However, humans could survive by going completely off-grid in remote areas, living like our ancestors did before electricity. Difficult, but possible. Number 5. Gasu Gasu no Mi, the gas fruit. Caesar Clown creates poison clouds and removes oxygen from small areas. Seems limited to local chemical warfare, right? But our atmosphere took billions of years to achieve its current balance. A gas user could manipulate this globally, turning the air itself into a weapon. They could replace oxygen with carbon monoxide, colorless, odorless, and lethal. They could deploy fluorine gas, which can literally set concrete on fire, and violently react with human tissue. They could create hydrogen sulfide that shuts down your brain's ability to smell it. You die without knowing why. But here's the global nightmare. They could alter atmospheric composition to trigger runaway greenhouse gases. They could destroy the ozone layer, exposing the Earth to lethal solar radiation. They could create gas combinations that could make entire continents uninhabitable for centuries. Therefore, they'd turn our most basic need, breathing, into a constant threat. Every breath becomes Russian roulette. However, people in sealed bunkers, submarines, or space stations could wait it out until the atmosphere eventually rebalances. Survivors exist. Civilization could rebuild. Number 4. Zushi no Mi, the gravity fruit. Fujitora summons meteorites and creates gravity wells. Looks precise and elegant in the anime. But gravity is a fundamental force of the universe. Like Brago from Zatch Bell, shout out to anyone who remembers this OG aura farmer. Fighting opponents with your hands in your pockets? Now that's real aura. This fruit could increase the gravity in Manhattan to crush every building simultaneously. They could decrease it in specific areas, causing our atmosphere to escape into space. But the true horrifying application? Our satellites, GPS systems, the International Space Station, all held in place by carefully balanced gravitational forces. A gravity user could destabilize everything in orbit simultaneously. No communications, no internet, no navigation systems. Therefore, they could alter the moon's orbit. Imagine tidal forces strong enough to flood every coastal city on Earth in a single day. Ocean currents disrupted, weather patterns destroyed. However, underground communities might survive the gravitational chaos. Deep bunkers could protect against even extreme tidal forces. Humanity survives, but barely. Number 3. Yami no Mi, the dark fruit. Now here's where things get interesting. In One Piece, the Yami no Mi is literally stated to be the most dangerous devil fruit in existence. But we've only seen Blackbeard use it for small-scale absorption and nullification. So I decided to have some fun with this one. What if it could actually control black holes like the name suggests? Real darkness in space represents something far worse than shadows. Regions where matter becomes so dense it warps space-time itself. The user wouldn't control darkness. They control the most terrifying phenomena in the universe. They could create event horizons, boundaries where not even light can escape. Micro black holes that slowly consume matter, growing larger with every atom they devour. Unlike explosive destruction, this would be an inevitable consumption of reality itself. Cities wouldn't be destroyed, they'd be erased from existence entirely. The user could manipulate space-time itself, potentially creating wormholes or temporal distortions. They wouldn't just destroy civilization, they would erase Earth from reality, leaving empty space where our solar system used to be. But here's the thing. Even with cosmic horror this extreme, some humans might escape to other planets before total consumption. Space travel could save scattered survivors. Therefore, even the most dangerous devil fruit isn't guaranteed extinction. But once again, this was a fun thought experiment of how OP the dark fruit could be, but it's hard to quantify its scientific nature or limitations unlike the others. That's why it sits at number 3, but the next fruits will blow your mind. Number 2. Gura no Mi, the Quake fruit. Whitebeard could crack the air itself and tilt entire islands. The anime makes it look like controlled demolition with epic visual flair. But real earthquakes follow the Richter scale. Each number means 10 times more energy. The 2011 Japan earthquake was 9.1. It moved an entire island 8 feet and shifted Earth's axis. One earthquake did that. A Quake user could trigger magnitude 10 plus events that don't exist in nature. They could crack the Yellowstone caldera, creating a supervolcanic winter that blocks out the sun for years. They could destabilize the San Andreas Fault, dropping California into the Pacific. The visual destruction would look exactly like those disaster movies 2012 or San Andreas. Except this would be real and happening everywhere simultaneously. But here's what the movies don't show you. The cascading failures, nuclear power plants melting down simultaneously across every continent, gas lines rupturing into citywide firestorms, every major dam failing at once, creating floods that dwarf anything in recorded history. Therefore, this isn't just about earthquakes. It's about turning our entire infrastructure into a weapon against us. The user could literally split continents apart in minutes. But even after splitting continents and triggering volcanic winters, scattered survivors in remote locations could eventually rebuild civilization. Humans are remarkably adaptable. Some would survive. Number 1. Shiku no Mi, the Sick fruit. In One Piece, Doc Q inflicts random diseases, turning pirates into women or giving them fevers. Looks like a joke power with temporary, almost comedic effects. But let's talk about 2020. The global pandemic brought our entire civilization to its knees. Supply chains collapsed, hospitals overflowed, society fractured. Toilet paper became currency, and that was just one naturally occurring virus. Now imagine someone who could create any pathogen imaginable. They could engineer airborne diseases with perfect 100% lethality rates. Viruses that remain dormant for months before activating simultaneously across every continent. Biological agents that target specific genetic markers or destroy crops and livestock, triggering global famine. But here's why this ranks number 1. This is the only power that guarantees total extinction. You can't hide from your own biology. The 2020 pandemic showed us how quickly our interconnected world becomes our greatest vulnerability. How fragile our medical infrastructure really is when overwhelmed. How easily misinformation spreads faster than the virus itself. Therefore, a sick user could deploy multiple engineered plagues simultaneously, each designed to overwhelm different aspects of our response systems. If you've ever played the mobile game Plague Inc., you know how terrifyingly effective a well-designed pathogen can be. Now imagine that strategy applied to the real world, with actual biological weapons. But here's the truly terrifying part. Unlike every other power on this list, you can't escape biology. You can build bunkers against earthquakes, you can shield electronics from magnetic fields, you can even escape into space to avoid atmospheric disasters or gravitational chaos. But you can't stop breathing. You can't stop your cells from functioning. You can't escape your own immune system. They could create diseases that remain dormant for years, spreading silently through every human population. Even if you survived the initial pandemic in a sealed bunker, you'd eventually have to come out, and the disease would still be there, waiting. Therefore, while other powers destroy through force or physics, this one exploits the one thing that every human shares. 6 devil fruit powers, 6 different paths to the end of everything we build. But notice the pattern. The most devastating aren't the flashiest. The real horror isn't in the spectacular destruction of earthquakes or the cosmic terror of black holes. It's in the quiet, invisible threats that exploit the very systems keeping us alive. Our technology, our atmosphere, our biology. We live in a universe governed by precise physical laws and delicate balances that took billions of years to achieve. The fact that no single individual can arbitrarily manipulate these forces isn't a limitation. It's the only reason we're still here. Therefore, the next time you watch One Piece and think devil fruits would be so cool to have, remember this: our boring, predictable, power-free reality is actually the most precious thing we possess. Because in a world where these abilities existed, there would be no heroes or villains, only survivors and the dead. And based on what we've learned today, when the 6-6 fruit is in play, there probably wouldn't be any survivors at all. If this video made you appreciate our powerless reality a little more, smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into why we should be grateful devil fruit powers are not real. And let me know in the comments which devil fruit power terrifies you the most. I'll see you in the next one.